Ishq Happiness Dose.
104.8 इश्क एफएम लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, हम कोशिश ये करते हैं कि आपको थोड़े थोड़े हैप्पीनेस डोज देते रहें ताकि और कुछ नहीं ना तो दिल में उम्मीद की किरण होती रहे. मतलब there's a little light of hope that keeps shining in these otherwise dark times. And Jasper Reed, of course, runs multiple chains of restaurants. Got to know of about 30 laborers who were stuck in an under construction building. 30, wasn't it, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, you got it, Sarthak.
30 laborers who were stuck, and he decided that he wanted to help them, and he actually got food going from the infrastructure that he already had, and now that's expanded to about 6,000 families. There's also an endeavor to send those who want to go home in buses as well. So that's the next level. It seems the ladder of hope is the one that you're climbing with quite sprightliness, Mr. Reed, which is wonderful for us. Tell us the whole story.
Thanks, Sarthak. No, you're right. It is in these difficult times. This is much more about hope and light than it is about despair and darkness. Look, the starting point, as you say here, is we're restaurant wallahs, right? We're humble restaurant players, but we're lucky ones, Sarthak, because we can pay our team. Sure. So from the first day, we always paid our staff. We always looked after them. We're kind of like a family. But of course, the restaurants all were shut, right? So all the family are thinking, what can we do? We initially we thought maybe we'll deliver food, but you quickly realize they're very slim pickings, right? A little bit of delivery, but frankly, people are scared. So as you said, Sarthak, we literally just got out on the street. Now, we had a big advantage there because we have COVID-19 passes, because restaurants are an essential service.
Sure.
And lots of people want to do this, but if you can't move around, you can't move around. Anyway, we could move around. We didn't exactly know what to do, so we just went out. And we went out into areas that we knew. And on the first day, we found 30 migrant laborers from Bihar with their families, with their children, stuck on a building site. Contractor fellows run away. They're scared. They don't want to come out. They're scared of meeting people. And so we talked to them. We went to the market. We used our money. We bought some food. We came back. We realized we didn't have milk. Stupid guys forgetting about the babies, right? We should have brought my wife. She would have helped. Then we went back again. And bit by bit, we built this up. And so every day we would do this. Then, of course, what would happen is people would tell us about people. So you have friends on the phone saying, hey, listen, there's a family. I can hear them. They're not coming out. They're on a building site. Or people who were already doing food but couldn't move out, like in their local areas, were saying, I can't get out. My family won't let me. I just can't get out. Can you help them? And so on and so forth. So it kind of snowballed from there. We then thought, okay, we better get our IT fellows doing stuff. Who knows what they're doing at home? Maybe they're all playing video games. We get them out of bed. Sure. And these guys were amazing. They created an app, an in-house app where we could track everybody, phone numbers, who we gave money to, who we fed, all the data, right? Because we realized, of course, this was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, yeah? Sure. Now we have one advantage because we're in this customer service game. So our migrants or our daily wagers or our refugee brothers and sisters, they're exactly the same as customers. In fact, they're much more important customers because their need is so much greater.
For sure.
But we're used to staying in touch. We're used to data for all those things. Anyway, is this making sense so far?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Shall I keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm just making sure you're following this. So anyway, we built this up and we realized we have a good system. And of course, if we don't know much about much, but we know about food, Sarthak, right? We know about food. We know about supply chain. We know how to buy it. We know how to get the best deal. We know how to distribute it, right? So really, we're just kind of doing what we know. But it became apparent, of course, that while we had the skills, we would need much more money.
Sure.
Now, I have I have very generous shareholders who, like I say, are paying for the team.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, our feeling is, of course, we need to raise money on top of that, and also to show to our shareholders that we're not sitting on our backsides and taking all their money, and you know, that we can meet them halfway, right?
Of
We meet them
course.
halfway.
Of course.
So we started a campaign here, friends, family, usual story for raising money. Then we set up a crowdsourcing site in the UK so that we could tell the story to people outside of India, because, you know, it's hard to give money into India and all that stuff.
For sure.
Then we did a video. Again, we know how to do this as business guys. We did a promotional video. We had some nice music. We had an Instagram, all this stuff. Yeah, it's important, right? Because
of course,
you're telling the story. And anyway, the fundraising really went like wildfire. We raised almost 2 crores in 4.5 weeks.
Wow.
From nothing. And that's, if you break it down, that's 700 donors, yeah, from 25 countries.
Wow.
The smallest donation's about 300 rupees.
Right.
The largest donation is 50 lakhs.
Wow.
So now here's the thing, Sarthak, because we've been thinking about this. We've been thinking, why has this caught people's imagination? Because everybody, you know this, everywhere around the world, people have their problems, right? There's a tsunami of fundraising going on. You go on the crowdsourcing site we used. Actually, it became really difficult because their usage went, you know, astronomical.
Sure.
Because everybody's raising money. So why would some fellow in France or Italy or America or Australia, any of these countries, why would they give you money, right? They have problems on their own door.
For sure.
And I tell you why, Sarthak, this was our analysis. Number one, a lot of people just loved India. Yeah. They loved, and a lot of the people do love India. I mean, India divides the crowd a bit, but if you love India, you really love it, right?
For sure.
That's one thing. Yeah. So the second thing also was interesting, which was, and we know this, right? It is one thing to be locked down in London or Tokyo or Hong Kong, right? Where you're safe, you're comfortable, you've got access to food, you've got Netflix, all these things, right? And also, of course, in many places where government is, even if you don't have money, government's helping you along. It's a whole nother thing to be locked down in a slum, in a red light district, on the street, lost your job. And I think people very, very rapidly realize that the real front line of this stuff is if you're a migrant worker or a daily wager, and literally, poof, overnight, you've got no means, right?
Yeah.
You've got no means, and it's tense, right? And remember, it's not just that you're running out of your money, maybe you run out of it completely overnight, but the fear is going up, yeah? And with fear becomes paralysis. So I think from a donor perspective, they found that gripping, right? They could see that was something. And then the last thing, I guess, is, and this is a simple practical thing, but everybody thinks this way, right? Because we fund all of the team and all of the systems and the rest of it, every single rupee goes into food. And of course, that was a huge help, particularly, you know, for people who are skeptical, where's the money going? Who's doing this? What you could say hand on heart was, none of this goes into administration. So anyway, it builds up. We add families, more families, we get into refuge. I mean, we find everything. We find Rohingya families. We find Pakistani Hindu refugees, right?
Of course.
We find Bangladeshi refugees.
Right.
We find daily wagers. We find prostitutes. We find all this. Long story short, we end up with 61 groups serving 6,000 people, right? And then more recently, as you say, but I'll pause for breath in a sec, we've been getting into helping these guys get back home. I mean, anything rather than have families walk the highways. I mean, you know how hot it is today, Sarthak.
Absolutely. And
anyway, that's the background.
And it's not it's not easy, is it? I mean, there's social distancing rules. There's passes to be had. There's many hurdles in what you're trying to do. But you seem to have sort of sailed over them pretty easily. Did you face too many problems?
It's very steep learning curve in many ways. But again, Sarthak, the thing here is, if you come from our world, you're into safety, you're into protocols, you're into following rules. I mean, we run these big brands where they're very, very systematized.
Sure.
So you're just replacing one set of protocols with another set of protocols. Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
of course.
We don't do social distancing in our restaurants. At least we didn't used to.
For sure.
But we know how to do it. And I tell you the other key thing. It's an interesting thing here. In the restaurant game, you know how many licenses, Sarthak, you have to get per restaurant to open one?
8, 10, how many?
26. 26.
So this was a...
No, but this is important, right? This is important. I mean, you're right. People laugh when they hear that and they think, why are you so stupid to be a restaurateur? Now it's paying off, because when you get 26 license from food safety wallahs, police, different elements of the Indian Administrative Service, you get used to that whole process. And of course, the key thing, this is almost the key thing here, is it's a state of mind on how you deal with administration, right? If you're the kind of person that hates it, gets frustrated, gets angry, or blames them, you've got no chance in the field. If you're used to working with people, and have a little bit of jugaad and a bit of makan and a bit of this and a bit of that, you're the right guy. But we've learned that, right? When we moved to India 7 years ago from the UK, and early on I found it very frustrating. Now I find it's just our karma.
And of course, as you said, you did find quite a few people willing to shoulder the same burden that you were shouldering as well, right? You've seen quite a bit of generosity, haven't you?
Unbelievable generosity. I mean, just heartbreaking, heartwarming, inspiring stuff. I mean, we've had people. I'll give you a couple of examples, right? We had someone in the UK, and I know she didn't have too much money because she's an artist, right? She's an artist like you, Sarthak. I don't know if you're rich or not, but typically,
yeah,
it's if you're Subodh Gupta, maybe, but here, right? She didn't have any money, but she did a very clever thing. She's quite a well-known photographer, so she went door to door in her little village in England, right, and did what she called doorstep portraits, right?
Okay.
And she said to people, "I will do," and she's a very good photographer. A portrait of you right here, or your dog, or your cat, or your wife, or your daughter. You give me £100, and that money will go to Jasper.
That's brilliant,
isn't it?
See,
so
that's why
lots of stuff like this.
That's why artists are so important, aren't they?
No, well, and on many levels, right? Because I'll give you another example. 2 journalists who were at university with me many years ago, yeah. Early on, when I was putting the campaign literature together, they helped with the copywriting, because they're artists, they're wordsmiths, right?
Of course.
And the amount of people that later came on and said, you expressed that so well. It wasn't me expressing it well, it was them. So it's funny, because whether it's the artists, or the business people, or the health people, young, old, family, not family, it's not as important as the people we help.
For sure.
But this community that's being created is really quite moving.
Excellent. And that's why we thought we'd speak to you, because this is part of what we call the Ishq Happiness Dose, where we give a little dose of happiness to those who might be thinking that these are dark times, which they are, but there's always that little golden ray of sunshine. And from 30 to 6,000 families, and now showing them the hope of home. I think this has been a very uplifting conversation, Jasper. And the way that may I call you Jasper first? I just feel that but yeah, it's just been so wonderful to know that if you want, everything is possible. It's about getting to know the human condition and wanting to do something about it. And you actually walked the talk. And I tell you, the food for soul is a tasty, tasty dish that you've served up. So thank you very much for that, Jasper. It's been absolutely wonderful having had this conversation with you. And of course, is there any way that people can get in touch with you in case they have people they need help with, etc.?
Yeah, we have an Instagram site, Instagram/One Family India. We're all one family, and if they message us through that, we'll reach out to them. We can help in lots of ways. And I like Sarthak, I like what you said about the dose of happiness, and this is a great example of, frankly, what can be imagined can be achieved. And by the way, if people think this is all over and they've missed a chance to help, think again.
Absolutely. One Family on Instagram is what you search for. If you want to help, that's where you go. And Jasper's waiting, and Jasper's doing what he can, of course. And that is absolutely wonderful, wonderful. And thank you for this light of hope and this dose of happiness, Jasper. It's been an absolutely wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarthak. Talk to you soon.
That's Jasper Reed, ladies and gentlemen. One Family is the initiative, started with 30 families, has gone on to 6,000 families. सिर्फ खाना पीना ही नहीं, वो कोशिश ये भी कर रहे हैं कि लोग अपने घर भी पहुंच सकें, और 2 करोड़ के आसपास की contributions मिल चुकी हैं उन्हें, and he's helping and he's using all of that to spread a little bit of happiness, which is what we are trying to do here as well on 104.8 Ishq. Happiness dose अगर tasty लगा हो तो हमें बता जरूर दीजिएगा. DMs are open. तो भाई, smile makes you look good, and thank you for listening to all of this. Sarthak, out.